Oh, hey there, guys. It's David Barnett from davidcbarnett.com, the blog site, YouTube channel, iTunes podcast, where I talk about buying and selling small, medium-sized businesses and how to manage them and make them better, etc. I wanted to talk to you a little bit this week about the vacation that I just was on. I took my kids. And I know it isn't really about small business, but just bear in mind with me because it really does tie in to small business and deal making, and I'll get to that. But first of all, if you're watching this on the video, I've got a map here on the screen, and you can see down here there's New York and Toronto up here and Montreal, and Boston's hidden under here where it says Massachusetts. And this is where I live, right here in Moncton in New Brunswick, right on the east coast of Canada. And I took the kids to Cape Breton Island because I've been there for work, but I have never really been there as a tourist. And, I knew that the kids would enjoy it. Last summer, we visited some old forts and English and French forts, and the kids loved being in those structures, and they liked learning about the history of it and everything. So I decided I would take them to the mother of all forts in North America, which is the Fortress of Louisbourg, which is an actual reconstruction. They've rebuilt about a quarter of the original French town and fortress that existed about 300 years ago. And of course, the French were coming over at that time because of the fertile fishing grounds, and they were coming over largely in a seasonal fashion and exporting tons and tons and tons of fish back over to France. And so I took the kids, we brought the camper with us, we stayed in a campground, which was called Lakeview Treasures RV Park or Campground. One of the worst campgrounds I've ever stayed in. I really should have checked the Google reviews because I went myself and left a Google review talking about how, mismanaged the place was, and found, to my chagrin, that all kinds of other people had already left those types of reviews, and I really should have checked them beforehand. But there were a couple of different festivals going on, and so there weren't many places to stay. And so I was lucky that I got a place to stay, and we were very handy to the Fortress of Louisbourg, and we spent an entire day there. And all of the interpreters are dressed up in the costume, and they take on the roles of people who actually lived 300 years ago, back when the fortress was in full swing. And so it was really cool. We got to watch the public humiliation and punishment of a thief who was caught. We got to watch people firing off muskets. There were people who partook in an adventure to actually load and fire a cannon. All kinds of cool stuff going on there. We also visited the port of Sydney, and they had tall ships in visiting from all different countries around the world, as well as the Blue Nose 2. And the original Blue Nose was a schooner that beat all kinds of speed records, and it's actually on the Canadian 10-cent piece on the back of it. So that ship was there as well. We were able to see. And then we finished off the trip with a trip to the Cabot Trail, which is the Cape Breton Highlands. Now, we also visited the Alexander Graham Museum and Historic Site. I don't know if you knew, but Alexander Graham Bell, the guy who invented the telephone, used to have a place in Cape Breton, and now the whole place is given over to a museum where you can learn about the history of the telephone. But he was also part of a group that had a mission to create powered manned flight, and they succeeded in building an airplane called the Silver Dart, and they completed construction and flew the thing without even knowing that the Wright brothers had just flown in Kitty Hawk. So it's interesting bit of history, but here's what I want to get at, and this is how it relates to small business. I went with the kids, and we had a 5-day vacation, and we took in a lot of sites, and we had a great time. We also did some things that were completely new to me and challenging to me, and my children are 7 and 9, so while it's exciting for them, after a while it can be a little bit draining on me, right? Because they require a lot of attention, and they're always looking at me to play with them and everything, so they're very demanding at that age. So we went on this camping trip, and for me, vacation time, camping, visiting places is an important thing. And I think it's one of the reasons why I have always gravitated either towards sales roles where I've worked on my own from home, sort of under my own direction, or I've been self-employed. My whole life, I've been in one of those two different categories. And I think it's because I really, really, really like to go on vacation. Now that may seem kind of silly to say because people say, well, who doesn't like to go on vacation? Well, let me tell you, I know an awful lot of people that are workaholics. They never leave, they never go. And it's one thing to choose to work all the time. And it's another thing to not have the option because you don't have the vacation time because you work for somebody else. So I think if you're listening to this channel and you're watching my videos, you know that you want to have your own business, you want to be self-employed, but more than having your own business, you want to actually have a business that you can run that allows you to get away when you want to get away. So this year, so far, I've spent a week in Mexico. I've spent a week and a half in the UK and Germany. I've gone for a 5-day trip to Cape Breton. I'm going away this weekend to Montreal. I've got another camping trip planned. I've got another week and a half where I'm going to take the kids down to Disney. And so there's a lot of different trips that I take. And the reason that I'm able to do it is because I control my time, but also because of the way that I run my business, I'm able to actually schedule things and manage things in such a way that gives me the freedom and flexibility to go and do these things. Now, I was poking around on the internet and I found this article from Psychology Today, this woman named Susan Krauss Whitbourne, and it's an article about the importance of vacation for our physical and mental health. And what she basically talks about in this article, I think most of us probably know intuitively, is that you need to give your mind a break so that you can be creative and come up with new things. And she gives a couple of points here in this article, things like planning ahead, knowing the rules and regulations for the airline, that kind of thing. But this one here is what I want to really focus on right here, is this item number 3 in her article. It says, don't feel guilty because you're going on a vacation. And I run into this so often where people will say, like they feel bad that they're going away. And what I continuously tell people in my workshops and my events is that you want to own your own business. You want to run your own business. The business is an asset whose purpose is to serve you and your family's needs. And most of the time we talk about money and monetary needs. And of course, when we're analyzing businesses, we talk about cash flow. We analyze cash flow and we do all kinds of normalizing adjustments to make sure that money is there. But the other thing that you need to keep in mind when you're looking at a business is just the overall lifestyle. Is what kind of lifestyle do I want to have? Lately on a few of my podcast interviews where I've been going on other people's shows, I've been talking about my business management program, the Build a Business That People Will Want to Buy program. And it's got the 12+1 steps to creating a business that will be more saleable, but is also easier to run and more profitable in the present. And it begins with, the very first step is always, you have to chart out what your life is going to look like in 10 years. Okay. And so if you own a business today, or if you intend to own one, this has got to be a part of something that you do, is to chart out what your life is going to look like. Because I know that when I chart out my future vision, there's a lot of vacation time. My ultimate goal is at one point to be, somewhere in life where I'm actually taking 8 or 9 one-week vacations a year, and maybe people that are listening to this in Europe will chuckle because I think they get that normally anyway. But you can't feel guilty because you're going on vacation, because you work hard to build the business, to make the business provide for you. And part of what it provides for you is the option to take off. Okay. And number 4 in this article, don't feel guilty when you're gone if you check email. And this is something that has taken me quite a while to kind of swallow, because I used to be in the camp where I thought that when you go on vacation, you have to literally drop everything and completely give yourself a break and go on vacation. And what I've come to realize over the last couple of years is that is not necessarily the right thing to do for someone like me with my personality type. Because what happens to me when I go away and I don't bring my computer or anything like that is I start to worry about all the people that are trying to reach me, and I start to worry about what is going to be waiting for me when I get back. And if I did go away for a week, I'd probably have 300 or 400 emails waiting for me. So when I went to Europe this year, what I did is I brought my computer with me, and every day I had a little bit of work time, and it never really amounted to more than 90 minutes. But what it allowed me to do was to keep on top of the regular everyday communications that I was responsible for, so that when I got back, there wasn't this mountain of work that had to be done in order to catch up. And it allowed me to truly enjoy my vacation and help me relax and be rested. Now, article number 5, or item number 5 in the article here, is to make your vacation a true adventure. And this is something that I believe wholeheartedly in, because I have found that if you just go away and relax on a beach, you might become more relaxed, but I don't think it creates the stimulation. New ideas come from new pathways being created in your brain. And I think that new pathways, and I'm not a psychologist or a doctor by any means, but I think based on my own personal experience, new pathways are created when you're confronted with new things, new problems, new ideas, even a new meal, right? New and different things create new and different experiences. They create the opportunity for new and different ideas to form in your head. And it's only when we remove ourselves from our everyday paradigm, where we have the same ideas and thoughts over and over and over again, that we're actually able to develop new and different ideas. And new and different ideas are the bread and butter of business. And if you're listening to this channel, it's because you're interested in business, either running one, buying one, selling one, etc. New and different ideas are the cornerstone of making things newer, better, more profitable, etc. So go on vacation. Today, this video is being released on the 11th of August. I'm actually in a car today on my way to Montreal for an exciting weekend with my girlfriend, and we're going to have a blast, and I'm going to check out some things that are going on in that city this weekend. And for those of you that are listening, if you're serious about buying yourself a business, you need to get over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There's a buy now square just to the right of the introduction video. Take Business Buyer Advantage, the online course. It's 9.5 hours of material. It's a full day. Learn how to buy a business. And then if you need me to hold your hand and you want to work with me in a group setting, very shortly I'm going to be announcing the registration and enrollment for Buy a Business in 2018. It's a group program with very limited seating. And I'm going to work with this group of people over the course of 2018. We're going to meet more than once a month. And I'm going to help everyone in the group who wants to actually do the work. We're going to help them all buy a business in 2018. So if it's something that you're serious about and you want to really make a change and you want to acquire a business that is already operating successful, etc., take Business Buyer Advantage and make sure that you're on my email list, because the people on the email list are the ones who will learn about Buy a Business in 2018 they'll be the first ones to get it. And it likely won't last much longer than that. There's enough people on the email list now that I think that likely this will sell out to the people that are on the list. And of course, you get on the list by going to davidcbarnett.com. And right on the left-hand side of the screen is a place for you to fill in, subscribe to my mailing list, check off the topics that you're interested in, and you'll be amongst the first to find out when Buy a Business in 2018 becomes available. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying your summer. Please, please, please put some comments or feedback. Send me your questions, because the list of questions that people had sent in around Christmas time is starting to come to an end. I've answered most of them in videos, and of course, I always look forward to your questions. They make the best videos, and of course, gives you the information that you're looking for. Anyway, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the summer.